Hi people, this is the first project deconstruction I have done in a long time, but we're back on Ableton Live here. The track is available now exclusively at TrackSource and it's called Detroit to Chicago. It's a homage to the kind of 80s Detroit techno and also Chicago house vibes, which are very much an influence for me back in the day. And this does contain a vocal element that's reminiscent of something classic, but it's not actually a sample. So there you go, you can hear it very distinctive, very reminiscent of something else, but as I said, it's not a sample, so I'm not infringing any rights here. And the track is very much kind of built on a series of chord stabs. I'm going to show you what I used to create those. And in essence, it's 3 versions of the same sound and played in different ways throughout the arrangement. So anyway, let's take a look. I'm going to stop the music. We're going to take a look at some of these elements bit by bit. So firstly, I'm going to show you the chords. Now, what I've done here is I've just grouped everything together. And it tends to be these days, in terms of organizing stuff, I tend to put things into groups and I get similar elements in groups. Sometimes I'll do like the music in a group. I'll do maybe the beats in a group or vocals in a group. But in this case, I put together the chords into a group. The chords are being triggered here. I'm going to take this back to the beginning. This is being filtered. You can see that underneath here, the auto filter is opening up the cutoff frequency. And you're probably thinking, what stand are you using for this sound? And it's very, very simple. In the Arturia collection, there is a fantastic emulation of the emulator 5. The 5 relates to the series of plugins. It's not, it's the, because it's V. But anyway, it's the emulator 2. So this is it. It's a classic piece of hardware. This is a preset called Dream Stab. So this is nothing special aside from me just triggering it, so I haven't put any work in here. It sounds amazing. And there are 3 versions of the same preset running. So what I start off with at the beginning was a lower kind of version of this. They're all kind of interacting with each other. Almost in a way, it's kind of call and response between these elements. So there's the lower one there. Then there's a higher sustained string, which really made me think of some of the kind of the 80s Detroit techno. So these are building up to the main chord stab coming in. So 3 separate instances of the same Arturia emulator 2. And these are working really nice. It's got real classic old school kind of vibe. It's very simplistic. There's no complexities with the music here. It's chord stabs and a groove, it's the beats and the bass line that are really driving this thing forward. So we'll come on to the bass line. I will solo this as well. We'll take a look. A very classic sounding bass patch. And this is once again, this is a bit of an Arturia showcase This is the Arturia emulation of the classic Yamaha DX7. And this is running with the lately bass, that classic, it's been used on so many things. And I wanted something that really felt like it was rooted in the history. So this is a very historic bass patch. And it sounds great. So that's running there. As I said, not really a very complex piece musically. Really, in terms of the music elements, we are talking about those stab sounds, the bass line, and then that is it. We'll come on to the beats fairly soon. Let's take a look at these vocals. These are automated to add drama at certain points. I'm adjusting the volume to create drama. And these are grouped together. There are 3 of these elements. These are 3 vocal elements stacked together. And that's got this "Can You Feel It" shout, which is similar to something way back that you may recognize. And also I've overlaid a crowd noise. And if you're wondering where I got that from, that was in the Final Cut library. So, we've got video editor. It has some really great sound effects, and so it had some crowd effects that I thought were great to use. So onto the beats. Let's take a look at what I did here. The first section is kind of like a core set of elements, and these are running in the drum rack, and these were individual sounds that I picked out of the Wave Alchemy Trias library. So it was a custom built kit. Then I added some kind of drum elements, fills and so on. And what's going on here is something quite interesting. I want to show you this actually, because I wanted to create a dramatic snare fill, something that didn't feel as kind of I guess traditional, something a bit more contemporary. So have a listen to this. So what's happening is that the pitch of the snare is descending. So it's being triggered on swung 16ths. And so that's actually going down in pitch. The arpeggiator is creating the individual hits as such. So if I just show you here, these are sustained notes. The arpeggiator is creating the motion, but the sustained notes are coming down in pitch over time. So back onto this, I'm using this new Ableton Live kind of drum element. I forgot what it's called individually. Where are we? Drum sampler, that's it. So it's a real kind of simple way to just grab some sounds and trigger them. But then the interesting thing is it's going through transit too. So Baby Audio, they always come out with great little kind of quirky plugins, and Andrew Huang has teamed up with these guys for this. This is the second iteration of this particular plugin. It's great for kind of abstract textures and certainly bringing things to life. And I wanted to add a certain flavor to this. The fill space is just running as a kind of textural addition to that snare. But the big thing that's going on here is this particular transit effect. So I'll show you what happens here. Pay attention to the macro control. You can see it's moving. So we start off dry, then we introduce the effect. And what it does is it creates a sense of hype before everything kicks back in. There we go. So I will just reintroduce all these elements so you can hear that in context. So there we go. Adds lots of nice hype and drama as we kick in for that second kind of, it's after the second drop, right? So structurally, nothing amazing going on here. It's just really building up. The first breakdown and everything goes. We have some slight variations here of the same thing. And then a bigger, longer breakdown here with a more dramatic snare fill, which is what you heard there. And then we are pretty much on the way out for the DJ to play the next track. So that's it. Short and sweet, but as you can see, very simplistic in its construction. But sometimes simple is the best. You know, that's something I will say. Okay, cool. So that's Detroit to Chicago, available exclusively at the moment on Traxsource. And that comes in two versions. One doesn't have the vocal, so if you prefer to keep things really stripped back and old school authentic without that kind of slightly commercial vocal on there, you've got that choice. And both, in fact, are actually climbing up the Traxsource Garage chart. Genre-wise, I'm not sure it necessarily fits, but it's something that I think perhaps doesn't really matter. But anyway, that's it. Have a good one.